I'd like to call the meeting to order. Kenny, I don't know, I know some of them will be coming and going, the scouts and that, but if we need some chairs, they can maybe, if they want some. I don't know how many people are in the hall yet, but we got a pretty good crowd. Roll call of aldermen.
Mr. Heisler.
Here.
Mr. Kinsella.
Here.
Mrs. Hull.
Here.
Mrs. Schmidt.
Here.
Mr. Rudgewitz.
Here.
Mr. Randall.
Here.
Mr. Anthony.
Here.
Mr. Davidson. Mr. Silsby. Mr. Hayden.
Here.
Mr. Seibert.
Here.
Mr. White.
Here.
Mr. Galletti.
Here.
Mr. Musgrove.
Here.
Mr. Orlett.
Here.
Ms. Schneider.
Here.
Alderman Silsby is excused. Roll call department heads.
Police Chief Bill Clay. Fire Chief Tom Poor. City Attorney Garrett Horner.
Here.
Ken Vaughn. Royce Carlisle. Jamie Matrit. Tim Gregowitz. Jim Schneider. Leander Spearman. Emily Foltz. Chuck Schaefer. Bob Sabo. Debbie Belleville.
Emily Foltz is excused on vacation. Ladies and gentlemen, this evening we have Boy Scout Group 554? 554 from the Church of Latter-day Saints here in Belleville, the Belleville Ward, and they're going to come forward and present the colors. So at this time, if you would please stand and join me and take their lead on the Pledge of Allegiance.
Color guard attention. Color guard advance. Color guard, post the colors. Scout salute. Color guard dismissed.
Thank you, boys. It's nice to see the scouts. They often visit us, and these gentlemen are working tonight, many of them, on their merit badge for citizenship in the community. So we thank them for presenting the colors while they were here listening for that merit badge and taking notes that they have to answer. Scouting's a great thing for the kids in our community, and thanks to the adult leaders. This time, we do have a public hearing, correct?
Yes, sir.
And do we have a folder on it? On the public hearing, do we have the? The public hearing tonight is on the vacation of the alley, right, Tim? Yes. And the actual description, I don't have it in front of me. It's the alley. Is this the one that's? Do we have the exact address?
It's between lots 29 and 30, is how it was described.
Okay. Okay, good. Garrett's got the, let me read this. At this time, I'm going to open the public hearing. This is a special public hearing as aside from the council meeting this evening. The purpose of this public hearing is a notice of the public hearing regarding an alley vacation at High Ridge Drive between Lot 29 and Lot 30 has been scheduled for today, May 5th, 2014 at 7 p.m. This vacation is at the request of a homeowner, correct, Tim? Yes. Is there anyone here this evening that's here to speak against or has any concern dealing with this request of the City Council to vacate this alley? Is there anyone here tonight to speak in favor? Yes, sir.
I'm the owner.
Would you want to come forward and just very briefly give your name, address, and your request, the purpose of your request?
My name is Mark Emmerich. I
I reside at 85 Santa Fe Mountain Road in Evergreen, Colorado, and I own the 2 lots where we're vacating the lot, the property in front of, and that's what we'd like to have happen here.
So
Your
this is
Honor.
an alley basically on paper.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
There's nothing there.
That's what
It's yeah.
I remember the situation now. So this is, for the council's sake, it's basically separating on paper his 2 lots, and what we're asking is that, and there's no other property owners, it's both you on both sides of it, correct?
That's true. There is another property owner, Paul and Angela Childs, but they have signed a statement saying that they agree.
Okay, I think Emily had showed that to me before she went on vacation too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any questions of the council for the person who's requesting? Mr. Davidson?
That's all settled. All utilities have signed off on it.
Right, I did hear that also. It's all coming back to me now. I was a little bit, okay. So we have this public hearing for the purpose of hearing any concerns, and certainly we've now heard from the owner as to his request. If there's no other, this will come to a vote during the regular city council meeting, sir. If there's no other comments you wish to make or no one here wishes to express, I will so close this public hearing. Anybody else? Public hearing is closed. Thank you, sir, and it'll be later in the meeting tonight, the agenda, that will act on this. Okay, back to the regular agenda. Just note in your, I guess it's on the packet out there too. We're going to read this all through, Garrett. Back in May, or back in, I shouldn't say in May, several months ago, we adopted an ordinance that spelled out some language of participation at public participation to make sure that we remain civil, respectful, and that things flow in a manner that we're all proud of. You think we need to read the whole thing?
No, I think you just need to invite people.
So it is, I believe, it's on the agendas. I'd ask all of you to, especially those of you who attend regularly, to please read this new, and we're going to print this on the program, on the agendas. What's that? We're going to print it for a while, until such a time that we feel comfortable, but for now we're going to. But we want to tell you that in our agreement, that it would be effective May 1st. So with that explanation, I also want to this evening make sure that before we get into the regular portion of the meeting here, I skipped over with all the stuff's going on in a full house here. I do want to point out the disaster planning. If there would be, heaven forbid, any reason to vacate this meeting room because of smoke or fire, we would all ask you to carefully and calmly leave the building, preferably as the front door, go across the street and meet in front of the St. Clair County Courthouse sign. That way we're away from the building as the emergency equipment arrives, but we can kind of make sure we don't have a count of this room who's all here, but we can kind of ask each other and try to make sure that we're getting everybody out of the building. If there would be a storm ever and you're here, there's signs as you go out in the hallway. There's also police officers who will show you, pointing to the storm shelter in the basement of this building, which is directly across from the city clerk's office, the stairs. So I make those 2 things to make sure everybody's aware. At this time this evening, we have a couple items under the presentations, recognitions, and appointments. I want to first of all start out by recognizing, as we do each month, the first meeting of the month. I'm sorry?
We're missing public participation.
I'm going to open it. I'm sorry. You're right. We got going here with the new rules, and I forgot to open it. We talked about it, and I'm like you. I'm not used to, it's actually in front of it, and I jumped over it. I flipped the page reading it, and I didn't. We will now back up just a second. For those who have had a chance or who want to address the public, the council this evening, please wait till I recognize you. Step up to the microphone when I recognize you. Give your name and address and try to keep your comments to about 3 minutes. And as stated in here, try to have them connected with city business for sure. Anybody this evening who would like to speak? Yes, sir. Front row.
Michael Hagberg, 701 Centerville Avenue. Few items. First, on the roundabout flowers, the Parks Department has $1 million budget. I'm sure that somewhere in their budget, they could come up with the $5,500 to pay for those flowers and get them planted, so we don't have to worry about whether the area is in TIF 3 or isn't, or if this is a TIF eligible expense or not. Second is that there's talk now of moving forward with an ADA compliant city hall, and that's all well and good, but I'd like to get an update on where the city stands on making their sidewalks ADA compliant, and the fact that coming up on 2 years, you poured sidewalk that wasn't done and promises to get it corrected, and we just keep on waiting, and it's like always another excuse as to why it's not done. And third is, a month ago, I brought up the TIF 10 financing. Making a payment in October that was missed would have saved $20,000 in accrued interest, $824,000 payment that was never posted to the notes, and an entire missing page from the payment schedule. I have yet to hear any updates on that, or if there's even any concern about those items being missing and being addressed. Thank you.
It's under review. I'm awaiting information from the developer.
Okay. And I think we told you that we met with the developer and there's questions that we asked. At the last meeting, I thought we addressed that, but we're addressing it now, that we have met with the developer, and Mr. Harner does have questions for him that he's researching, and will get back with us, so we'll have an answer. Okay, anybody else this evening? Yes, sir, in the back corner. Here next.
Stuart Lannert, South 29th Street, Belleville, Illinois, 318 South 29th Street. A few items here. I was up at CVS the other night, and some guy was looking a little rambunctious up there. He said he just got out of jail and he assaulted some 80-year-old woman. I thought, well, ain't gonna be long probably, and you're gonna be going back. And a friend of mine, Bud Argus, somebody stopped him today and was giving him a hassle over his article in the News Democrat. And I was at the Motomart to get a cup of coffee before I come here, and some guy says there's too many niggers down here.
Excuse me.
Well, that's what he said.
Okay.
It was a black guy that said it.
Okay, Stuart. Now, I just pointed out, and you have this on your agenda. I've asked you, and we adopted this because we demand civility and respect and decency, and I think you're crossing the line there. You can better phrase your statement without being quite so bold.
Well, I was just quoting him.
I'm
word
telling
for
you,
word.
Stuart.
Okay.
Let's get to the point of the rest of your message, because
Okay.
you're really this is what exactly why we enacted this.
Well, I don't think 3 minutes of a little bit of citizens' comments should throw everybody into a tizzy, whether it's exactly pertaining to the board's business tonight or not. But okay, here we go for the last one. Lindenwood has been here over 10 years, and as far as I can tell, there's no hint of any new business in the area. They spend money like it's going out of style on planting sod instead of planting seed, grass seed. They plant sod, which is way higher than just planting grass seed. And they don't try to, they spend money like it's going out of style. Thank you.
Next gentleman.
My name's Michael Bidner. I live at 2015 West 8th Street here in Belleville. I've been attending the city council meetings over the last several years and have not participated in the public participation. However, I felt compelled to speak tonight as the city begins its new fiscal year and because of what I've witnessed over the last several years. I direct my comments tonight to this body as a whole. I am not singling out any individuals. All of you must learn to work together. You need to learn the art of compromise. Your actions, more than any other governing body, directly affects the quality of life of the residents of this city. To vote against a measure, to be obstinate, contentious, or contrary, just to do so, or to blindly follow along affiliated lines is not governing. I would have thought after the last election, when longtime incumbent office holders and aldermen lost their positions, it would have been a wake-up call for all of you. The newly elected, the re-elected, and those of you who are running in the next election. I'm glad this forum will now be televised. My hope is the residents of the city will watch and become interested in these proceedings. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, what you do here now will be out there for all to see, and there is always another election. As a lifelong resident of this city, I ask all of you to stand as individuals, make decisions which will help the city, move the city forward, and correct problems. Now more than ever, the city needs leaders. Don't just follow, lead. All of you need to ask yourself the question, do I want to be known as being on the council or within the administration when Belleville began its decline or began to prosper? Finally, there are many positive things happening within the city, but there are serious issues that need to be addressed. You cannot ignore them and hope they go away. You will not always agree on every issue, but all of you must work together for the betterment of the city. Agree to disagree. Be civil to one another and make us proud of our government. The residents of the city deserve this from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. As he commented, I thought of something I also needed to tell you. As you do know, many of you by now should know that we are in a process of, the meetings are now being filmed. And Rich Peppers is right over here to my right, and he's filming the meetings. Tomorrow morning, it'll be available on our website. We are meeting Thursday with Charter, while Charter is working with Lindenwood to film these on Charter Network. Apparently they ran into a problem with their, what'd you tell me, Rich? With their fiber optics that were run to Lindenwood, and there has to be some, we're meeting with them to figure out, and they may have it done by the time we meet, but that's why they weren't on Charter yet. But we're meeting with the Charter representatives and Lindenwood University on Thursday, and we'll have more answers. But it is being filmed tonight, so keep that in mind. Please speak into the microphones, Council. It's more important than ever. Rich reminded me the other day that to pick up your voices properly, you have to position the microphone in front of yourself when you speak and address the issues. And likewise, public, or if staff gets asked to speak, please step up to the microphone so that we can hear everybody's answers if there's questions for staff, etc. So those are a couple of things I did want to reiterate. But we're getting closer, but it's been an interesting process. But this will be on our website, the Belleville City website, by mid-morning tomorrow, Rich? Okay? So just an update. Yes, ma'am.
When Charter, excuse me, when Charter does it, it will be live, and what channel will it be on?
I'll be honest with you, that's a question I have to double check with the Charter officials when they get here, and I'll have those answers. There's been so much since this thing first started with Charter that has been some changes that I want to hear it from them, and Rich and I and a few of us have a list of questions for them, and we'll get those answers for all of us. So.
One more thing, and when it is decided, do you think we could put a little notice in the paper stating what channel and that?
Oh, I'm sure the News Democrat, I'm sure our reporter who's here will certainly be happy to do that. But
don't wait till the next. Excuse me.
Well, I will try.
We'll certainly.
We will certainly send that over even as a news release to remind them.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. All righty. So is there, yes, public participation still is going on. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. Rose Wilson, 322 West I Street. I just need to make a comment today in regards to our fine police officers. Thanks to crime-free housing, we've had some issues on I Street, and Matt Icekant and his team and housing. They were superb, getting rid of one-bedroom houses that housed 7 people, trash issues that we lived with for close to 2 years. We do have a fine police department, and Belleville still is a good city to live in, and I do support the 25-cent tax. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else would like to speak? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Ed Summers. I live on Shale Street in Belleville, and I'm sure all of our elected officials here believe that you were elected by the people to make the hard decisions. I would agree with that 100% up to a point. That point is when you vote to enact taxes or extend taxes under one premise and you shift to another premise to spend that money, then you are not representing your constituents. I wholly support this agenda item that we put this to a vote of the people, if nothing else, to find out where the people stand and what the majority is, pro or con. Because as sure as God made little green apples, come August of 2017, we will be here again to extend this tax because you have gotten so used to spending this money in the general fund. Thank you.
Anyone else this evening want to comment? Yes, ma'am.
Joy Schreiber, 27 South 10th Street. The meeting from August 5th, I went back and rewatched that, and all the people who spoke in support of the sales tax full-heartedly believed that that was going to afford us more police officers. I've been compiling the employment records of the police department through 2010, 11, 12, and 13, and we currently have no more officers this year than we did in 2010. We have fewer than we did in 2012. Now, I believe the information I got was on a calendar year, so I don't know what hires were done after January 1st of this year. But I do have the data compiled, and I mean, if you're counting admin, which is the chief, the lieutenant colonel, and 3 captains, I don't count those as officers that are on the street. And the community service officers, I don't know at what point they were hired, but each of them made about $6,000 for the year, so I don't know if that's because they're part-time or if they were hired mid-December or what. But my records show that we have no more officers now than we did in 2010. Thank you.
Anyone else for public participation? Yes, ma'am.
This is always too low for me, or too high. I think I can make it, though. My name is Mary McHugh, 10503 West Main, here in Belleville. It's a wonderful thing that many, many, many organizations, churches, schools, elected officials, and our regular citizens, young and old, are happily giving hours of their time to make our city a better place to live, play, and work. On the other hand, we do have citizens who dwell on finding fault, the gotcha citizens. We have lots of other citizens, though, some of them in this room, who are looking for faults and impeding the progress of our great city. It seems to me that these citizens are grandstanding and seem to be campaigning maybe for the next election. I salute every one of our council and city leaders that were on that trolley for our 200th birthday celebration. Again, others were campaigning. There was no place for that in our beautiful parade for the 200th. Another subject quickly. Myself and many friends are living on a fixed income, but we love the quarter-cent tax. 25 cents on $100 for things that I don't really need or I don't need to buy. And I agree with our great police chief in this city that to use that tax to house our new policemen and our police women in their new place, there's nothing too good for them as far as I'm concerned. And any fool knows that working in an environment that is top-notch is going to reduce crime in our city, and this will give us more police, I do believe, that will carry on for us. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else? Hearing none, I'm going to close public participation, and we're going to move on. We get now to presentations, recognitions, and appointments. And as I started to say earlier and was caught myself, or you caught me, each month, beginning of the month, we, like the schools and many of our businesses, we remind ourselves what is posted as the character word of the month. This month it's self-discipline, meaning thinking about your words and actions and then making choices that are right. These character words are absolutely great for all of us to be reminded of, not just our children. And I ask that we continue to hold these monthly character words in our daily thoughts. At this time, we have a bittersweet moment to recognize somebody who's given 35 years of service to the city, but the fact that they're officially retiring is the sad part. So at this time, would Royce Carlisle, the Director of Wastewater Treatment, and John Graham please come forward? John, 35 years is a long time, and you have been very faithful to the city and had worn different hats at the treatment plant, but have been there the whole entire time. So I'm going to ask Royce, first of all. Royce, you want to make a comment or two, and then I'll read the plaque as we present it to him.
Well, John, on behalf of the Wastewater Division, I'm here to thank you for the 35 years of service and congratulate you on the retirement and say good luck for the rest of your days.
Well, thanks a lot, Royce. I appreciate that. Appreciate you, Eric, for this plaque.
Well, this plaque states the following: presented to John Graham in grateful appreciation for 35 years of dedicated service to the City of Belleville Wastewater Division, 1979 to 2014. And John, we sincerely thank you. He'll be on the books until July 19th, finishing up some stuff, but technically he's winding down, and we're going to miss him. He's been very faithful and very good about seeing the plant that was an old plant go through a lot of changes, and before you're out the door here, you've watched a lot of changes with Royce and Randy and the rest of them. It's changing before our eyes each and every day.
Well, I'd like to borrow a phrase you always use, and it's always been an honor and a privilege to work for the City of Belleville all these years.
Thanks, John.
Thank
And thanks for you. If I may, the rest of you can be seated. Family and the people who work at the wastewater treatment plant, stand up. Family and the employees. Well, it's great, and I know there was, yeah, here we go. So thank you, and John, thank you again for your service. Okay, take care. Okay, here, you want this? Please do.
John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks.
This time I want to bring your attention to last week. The City of Belleville was recognized by Ameren. Ameren, Illinois awards the City of Belleville as an Action Energy Most Progressive City. And this was a culmination of things. And it was actually in 2013, but they just finished up the tabulation of everything and all the results. And this was we got two signs they gave us. To show over here, these bright green signs, 2013 Most Progressive City, Belleville, Act on Energy by Ameren of Illinois. And this was for a couple reasons, as they stated. One, we had a number of businesses that worked with Ameren on evaluating their business efficiency and trying to work smarter and save energy. And they also recognize the fact that the city government here has had energy audits on different buildings. Our wastewater treatment plant project that Royce and John and Randy are all with the staff working on so diligently. They're working right now on the first $44 million of mandated improvements. But we also, with that project, have partnered to make it very energy efficient, and we're saving money. We've done this, like I said, by various businesses. We've done other energy things and green things in regards to the police cars we're buying, with changing the size of engines for many of the different departments, just a host of things to try to be more conscious of the environment and of the energy. So it was great on behalf. Is there anyone from Ameren here this evening? I don't think they were going to get to make it back, but we had several other officials came here a week ago and recognized the city, and we appreciate that. And it's nice to be recognized when they spot and see that we're doing things that are as a community. And several of the businesses were here that day for their efforts of working to be more efficient. So I wanted to bring that to your attention, and you will see these signs posted in a couple locations around city buildings, et cetera, that we can take some pride in this recognition and continue to work for the future as we try to be more efficient in our energy conservation. So, moving on. At this time, each year, the first meeting of May, it's traditional that the mayor would appoint the department heads and some of the managers and key staff that have traditionally been, by ordinance, recognized as appointed positions. In your packet, you have a list that's really, I believe, had very few changes since last year. Everything on here, on this list, you have approved along the way. There was, certainly there was one change in my office, but you approved earlier. But this is the tire. Now, I do note that you'll notice that I'm recommending that Fire Chief Tom Poor and Deputy Chief Bud Jacobs are made permanent. We've had many meetings in the last several months since Chief Langston's retirement. It was both a chance for the mayor to see, for me to see how they handled the job, and also a chance for them to see if they liked the job. And I think that's a fair question that was raised. And I know Bud certainly said, yeah, let me see how this feels. So this is my list here tonight. Alderman Hayden, you have a question?
No, Your Honor, I'd just like to state, unless there's an objection by a fellow council member, which I would be willing to remove a name, if so be, I would like to make a motion to approve all the appointments as listed by a vote of acclamation of all the city council members.
Alderman Hayden's making a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Alderman Heisler's making a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Ridgewitz.
Aye.
Randall.
Abstain.
Anthony.
Aye.
Davidson. Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Galletti.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Orlett. Schneider.
Present.
Motion carries. All the department heads, stand up or raise your hand that are in the room. I think you just about heard them all. Stand up. All of you who have just been approved, take a stand. Ryan. I want to say thank you. We have a very dedicated staff, and I couldn't be more pleased to have such professional folks to be able to work with them each and every day. They're very responsive to the citizens, to the mayor's office, and to each other fellow staff members as they get many opportunities to work together on a lot of different challenges. So my hat's off to all of you, and I thank the council for their confidence tonight in supporting this group that I think you've all found to be very professional and dedicated to Belleville. So I thank you for that. The next item on the agenda is another traditional once a year. You will notice that it's really the same committee list that I'm asking for appointment of. It's the council committees appointed by the mayor. The only real revisions that are on here, Bob White will serve as the chairman of traffic, which is a change, and Ken Kinsella will serve as the chairman of ordinance. No one was changed on a committee. No one had come forward to me at any time recently and said, in fact, really and truthfully, no one came to me about anything. I had a conversation, well, I take that back. One or two aldermen talked to me, and then we did cooperatively did make changes into chairmanship. But this is what I'm proposing, so I ask for a motion.
I make that motion.
Motion to approve the list by Alderman Schmidt, second by Alderman Rujewitz. Discussion? Any discussion? And this will serve for the next year till next April 30th. Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Holt. Schmidt.
Aye.
Ridgewitz. Randall.
Abstain.
Anthony.
Aye.
Davidson. Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert. White.
Aye.
Galletti.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Orlett. Schneider.
Aye.
Motion carries. All righty. That takes care of all the presentations. I get down to approval of the minutes. We have the regular city council meeting held, minutes from April 21st, 2014, and the special city council meeting minutes held April 28, 2014. What's your pleasure?
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file the regular city council meeting minutes held April 21st, 2014, and the special city council meeting held April 28th, 2014. So moved, Your Honor.
Motion by Alderman Heisler, second by Alderman White. Do I hear any discussion? Yes, sir.
Your Honor, on page 9 of the April 21st meeting,
Okay.
item 12 on our agenda that night was to approve three things, A, B, and C, and C didn't get put on here, which happens to be the cooler parked outside Eckert's Florist. That did not get put on here,
Oh.
and it was part of the
Right.
original motion, and
Exactly.
I move that we include that.
Okay, so we have, does the person, Mike, and does Bob, you accept that addition, that change? I didn't catch it myself. I didn't read it. So thank you for that. With that addition made, all in favor of approving the minutes of the two meetings that were just stated, and with that correction, would everybody signify by saying aye? Aye. Oppose? Yes, ma'am?
I have one on page 5. Alderman Silsby also asked why some members have Mr. Hayden's statement and some do not. It doesn't go on to explain that Mr. Hayden asked all of us independents, did we have it? None of us had the statement. It was only Mr. Hayden and the clerk that had it. So it doesn't state saying that Alderman Silsby, I don't know if you used the word wrong or what, but that was the second time he had done something like that. He had done it to me on the charter thing, when you sent my email to charter. And I also
So what would you like? You'd like him to go back and research that before the next meeting?
No, I stated it, and Alderman Hayden did ask all of us if we had the statement that he and the clerk had. Silsby made the comment that some of us have a statement, which we didn't, and it needs to be noted on there.
Will you research that, Dallas, and then we'll make a note, we'll approve the minutes with that. Yes, ma'am?
I had the same question when I read through it, but really,
Okay.
I think 3 paragraphs down, it kind of does cover it.
I don't have it in front of me, and like I said, I did not read it today, being gone all day. How's that?
Page 5, but it's, he stated only the clerk and Alderman White have.
Yeah, it is covered.
It did cover it.
It is covered, okay. You accept that? So with that, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of those two meetings. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. We're moving on now to claims, payroll, and disbursements. Do I have a motion?
Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to pay the claims, payrolls, and disbursements. So moved, Your Honor.
Motion by Alderman Heisler, second by Alderman Schmidt. Do I hear any discussions? Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I was out of town, didn't have a chance to ask. The legal department paid the News Democrat almost $10,000.
Yes, ma'am. If you can speak real loud, maybe.
Right, and I know we do that, that just seemed like a really big amount. Okay.
Believe me, if we didn't have to legally,
I just wasn't used to seeing that.
I've been an advocate for a long time that we ought to be able to just publish these on our website, but still can't.
The state has to change that law.
I understand that. I'm just saying, to me, that would be a great savings. We have a motion and a second to pay the claims. If there's no further question, roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Holt. Schmidt.
Aye.
Ridgewitz. Randall. Anthony. Davidson. Hayden. Seibert. White. Galletti. Musgrove. Orlett. Schneider.
Aye.
Motion carries. Zoning Board of Appeals advisory reports.
Your Honor,
Yes.
since there are 7 of these and all of them passed unanimously, could I ask if we might read them as a group and pull out anyone that somebody wants to discuss?
Anybody have a problem with that?
No. Are you making a motion?
So,
Yes.
so we have a motion by Alderman Kinsella and a second by Alderman Schmidt to read the Zoning Board of Appeals as a group and vote on them as a group. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Case number 24, April 14th, Todd Kennedy requesting an area bulk variance in order to install an 8-foot privacy fence on the side property line at 4204 West Main Street, located in a C2 heavy commercial zoning district. Number 2, case number 25, April 14th, Satinder Singh requesting a special use permit for a liquor license and to operate a convenience store and gas station at 7311 Old St. Louis Road, located in a C2 heavy commercial zoning district. Number 3, case 26, April 14th, Cheller Tool and Die requesting a use variance in order to expand the existing parking lot at 8 Florida Avenue onto the property identified by parcel number 08-22.0-420-0818, which is located in A1 Single Family Zoning District. Number 4, case 27, April 14, Cheller Tool and Die requesting an area bulk variance in order to expand existing facility. Relief has been requested for maximum lot coverage and from front, side, and rear setback requirements to 0, 5, and 0 respectively. The property is located in a D2 heavy industries district. Number 5, case number 29, April 14, Charles and Carol Mister requesting a use variance in order to operate a church at 19 South 97th Street, located in a C2 heavy commercial zoning district. Number 6, case number 30, April 14th, John Bailey Flamingos requesting a special use permit for a liquor license at 923 West Main Street, located in a C2 heavy commercial zoning district. Number 7, case number 31, April 14th, Don Reed requesting a special use permit for a liquor license at 341 Centerville Avenue, located in a C2 heavy commercial zoning district.
I move that items 1 through 7 be approved.
I second that.
And have the proper ordinance
Yes,
drawn?
sir.
Motion is by Alderman Kinsella, second by Alderman Schmidt to approve the zoning items that were just read and that are listed in your agenda to be approved. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Holt. Schmidt.
Aye.
Ridgewitz. Randall. Anthony. Davidson. Hayden. Seibert. White. Galletti. Musgrove. Orlett. Schneider.
Aye.
Dead spot there. Motion carries. We have the city attorney report dated May 1st, 2014. What's your pleasure?
Move to be received and filed.
Motion by Alderman Hayden, second by Alderman Seibert to receive and file the attorney's report. Any discussion? All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Oral reports. Alderman Heisler.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, before we start, there was a typographical error on the second motion. It should read 46 cents instead of 47 cents.
Note on your agendas, please, that should be 46 cents under the amount that we'll be paying Hair Plumbing.
If there's, Your Honor, if there's no objection, I would like to make the following 2 motions together and vote on them together. So moved, Your Honor.
I see no objection. It'll be motion by Alderman Heisler, second by Alderman Hayden to proceed and to approve those 2 motions as listed in your agenda at this time. Any further discussion?
Yes, motion number 1 to approve the LTCP construction pay request number 46 from Cordy Lujan and Tuvital Wade and Mershon for a total amount of $38,198.25. The second motion to approve the LTCP Phase 2 construction pay request number 8 from Hair Plumbing and Heating in the amount of $340,118.46. So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
Motion by Alderman Heisler, second by Alderman Hayden. Any discussion on the 2 motions? Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Holt. Schmidt.
Aye.
Ridgewitz. Randall. Anthony. Davidson. Hayden. Seibert. White. Galletti. Musgrove. Orlett. Schneider.
Aye.
Motion carries. Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to approve purchase of one budgeted snow ice unit for the street department from state awarded bid vendor Rush Truck Center Prairie International for $138,873 to be paid at time of delivery through lease financing.
Second, Your Honor.
Motion by Alderman Seibert, second by Alderman Hayden. Any discussion on the purchase of this snow and ice vehicle? We could have used it.
Yeah, Your Honor, does this include this, a spreader?
It's a complete package, right, Mike and Chuck?
Chuck, and Chuck, will it have the ability to also add to that spreader calcium chloride?
Unfortunately, no.
What would the cost be on that?
Probably about another 10 grand.
How much was budgeted for this?
That's 141. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll just ask then to move on, Your Honor, if the Director of Public Works can look into adding, since we're buying something new, the calcium chloride thing, and then bring that to the next Streets and Grades Committee.
Wasn't the problem when we checked in it a while back, Chuck, getting calcium chloride in the quantity, I mean, the,
Well, we, not really, but I understand all of the things saying. I think, we'll look into it, and hopefully we can make it happen.
The point of the question, Your Honor, is the fact that, and hopefully we don't see it for a while, but we had the most brutal winter since I was a senior in high school, which was '82. And during that time, many aldermen were getting complaints, you know, which I again think our street crew did a tremendous job with the equipment and manpower that we got, but there was some concerns and complaints, especially on the main roads. And what the public needs to understand is, once you get 20 degrees or below, the salt is not going to do anything. Where if we have the ability, and obviously everything is an expense, but if we have the ability to mix in calcium chloride, that gives us an advantage that our staff does not have, and I think for the benefit of public safety, it's something that should be further explored.
we will look into it.
The reason being that, it was a cost, however, I'll definitely look into it.
Yeah, because as been noted before, Your Honor, we are snow plowing the streets, not so people can go to work, not so people can go to school, not so you can go get bread and milk. It's so a policeman, a fireman, or an ambulance, or any of the above can get to your house. That's the primary purpose. And if we get it 20 degrees below, and we have some of the conditions that we have, we need to protect and serve the public, and this is an aspect that strongly think we should continue to look into, and I thank you.
We have a motion, and we have a second. Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Holt. Schmidt.
Aye.
Ridgewitz. Randall. Anthony. Davidson. Hayden. Seibert. White. Galletti. Musgrove. Orlett. Schneider.
Aye.
Motion carries. Before we get to communication, I wanted to make one other announcement. As we had the Boy Scouts here this evening doing their work for their badge, we also have a group of Lindenwood students here this evening. Raise your hands if they're still here. Some of them are here. There's about 10 of them, and they're here for a class, a social studies class, and their instructor is Brian Sargia. Is that correct? And we appreciate you coming. I know they've been here before, some of these classes, to observe for some of their work that they're doing, but it's always nice to see, particularly Lindenwood, as you, the great improvements we're seeing on that corridor. So thank you for coming tonight. We now go to communications. I'll turn it to the clerk.
A communication from the Southwestern Illinois Central Labor Council requesting permission to hold annual Labor Day parade and picnic on Monday, September 1st, 2014, starting at 10 a.m.
Is there a problem if we read these as a group?
Keep reading.
Keep reading.
B, communication from Our Lady Queen of Peace School requesting permission to hold a 5K run on Saturday, May 10th, 2014, starting at 9 a.m. and requesting 10 to 12 wooden barricades to use to help direct participants and keep traffic away from the start and finish line area. C, communication from Kansas Avenue Neighborhood Watch Association requesting permission to close C and Kansas for their 2014 Kansas Avenue Neighborhood Watch Association Spring Block Party on May 31st, 2014 from 3:30 p.m. until 7 p.m. with a rain date of June 1st. They are also requesting 4 sets of barricades and 4 picnic tables.
Move the request be granted.
Second, Your Honor.
Motion by Alderman Seibert, second by Alderman Hayden to approve the 3 communications that were just read. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have no petitions this evening. Resolutions, we have Resolution 3187 and Resolution 3188.
Move to be read as group.
I ask for a motion to read by title only, I should say first.
And a group, yes.
Motion to read by title only and approved. Second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Anthony. Discussion. All in favor to read as by title only signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
A, Resolution 3187, a resolution authorizing the execution of the CDBG Cooperation Agreement for federal fiscal years 2015, 2016, and 2017. B, Resolution 3188, a resolution authorizing the execution of the Home Investment Partnerships Consortium Agreement for federal fiscal years 2015, 2016, and 2017.
Motion to approve Resolution 3187, 3188. Second.
Motion by Alderman Hayden, second by Alderman Seibert. Any discussion, further discussion? Yes, sir.
One quick question, Your Honor, and this is probably for the city attorney. Just in looking at this, would the city of Belleville, if it so choose, Mr. Horner, have the ability to establish its own housing authority based on our size?
Our own housing what?
It's just a question that came up. Would we have the ability to establish our own housing authority program instead of working through in joint agreement with the St. Clair County, be based on the size of our community and home rule?
That's something I'll have to research that, but I could get an answer for the council.
Could you research that for me? It's just a question that I'd like to have explored.
We have a motion, we have a second to approve these 2 resolutions as written here this evening. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Holt. Schmidt.
Aye.
Ridgewitz. Randall. Anthony.
Aye.
Davidson. Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert. White. Galletti. Musgrove. Orlett. Schneider.
Aye.
Motion carried, or motions carry. This time I'd ask for a motion to read by title only ordinances number 7770, 7771, 7772, 7773, 7774, 7775, and 7776.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Schmidt, second by Alderman Seibert, and as a group. All in favor of that motion to read those ordinances as a group and by title only signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
A, ordinance number 7770, an ordinance in regard to case 24, April 14, Todd Kennedy area bulk variance. B, ordinance number 7771, an ordinance in regard to case 25, April 14, Satinder Singh special use permit. C, ordinance number 7772, an ordinance in regard case 26, April 14, Chiller Tool and Die use variance. D, ordinance number 7773, an ordinance in regard to case 27, April 14, Chiller Tool and Die area bulk variance. E, ordinance number 7774, an ordinance in regard to case 29, April 14, Charles and Carol Meester use of variance. F, ordinance number 7775, an ordinance in regard to case 30, April 14, John Bailey Flamingos special use permit. G, ordinance number 7776, an ordinance in regard to case 31, April 14, Don Reed special use permit.
Move to be approved.
Motion by Alderman Hayden, second by Alderman Seibert to approve these ordinances as just read. Further discussion? Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Holt. Schmidt.
Aye.
Ridgewitz. Randall. Anthony. Davidson. Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert. White. Galletti. Musgrove. Orlett. Schneider.
Aye.
Ordinances are passed. This time we have a motion that was requested by Alderman Hayden to be put on this meeting. A motion to authorize advisory referendum concerning the home rule sales tax and to have the proper ordinance drawn pursuant to section 3.1-40-60 of the Illinois Municipal Code 65 ILCS 5/3.1-40-60 and sections 28-2 of the Illinois Election Code 10 ILCS 528-2.
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to make a motion to approve this by resolution to have this done and amend it that would basically state, shall the home rule quarter-cent sales tax be extended beyond the 2014-2015 fiscal year, yes or no? And that's my motion.
I'll second it.
And Your Honor, I want to state that the reason I brought this forward is that this is actually the recommendation that came out of the Finance Committee back in discussions of July and August of 2013 and brought to the City Council. Initially, the recommendation was that there be a referendum and that it be 2 years. Then at the City Council meeting, it was amended by Alderman Schmidt initially wanting to make the tax permanent. Then it was changed to 4 years to coincide with a 4-year COPS grant. For those of you that are not aware, we did not receive the COPS grant. Therefore, in my mind, Your Honor, the rationale to extend it 4 years based on a grant that we did not get no longer exists. I'm not going to get into the debate tonight in relation to all the statements that were made August 5th. I certainly have gone back and looked at them as well, other than to say, Your Honor, it was clearly, if you watch that meeting, the intent of this council and placed out to the general public that what we were doing was we were extending this for the benefit to protect and serve the people, and the people were led to believe that we were going to put more police on the streets. It has been discussed that we as city council members are the representatives, and it's our job to represent majority rules. That is correct. And many people misconstrue our form of government. We are not a democracy, we are a republic, and we are a representative form of government. But now, when we get into an issue of this, and it has become, in my mind, Your Honor, contentious out into the public, if we want to talk majority rule, then the best thing to do is to get the public's input. It will also be used as a budget planning tool for us to prioritize the measures. This is advisory, it's not binding, but it will give us as aldermen a true pulse of the public. Lastly, we need to look into, Your Honor, it has been stated in a memo from our finance director that sales tax is down. One key question that we must ask as being diligent and representative city council members is why. And one rationale to why is it was spoken out at the public that they don't mind paying an extra quarter on $100. But we, Your Honor, have to look at the total aggregate effect of this tax onto our total sales tax, and then the added TIF tax in some districts. And when you put that accumulative effect of how much we're actually paying when somebody buys $100 worth of something in the city of Belleville, and they start seeing $10 of tax on their items, that accumulative effect, and then they start saying, well, you know, I can go over here to so-and-so and buy that and only pay maybe $6.70 in tax. These are things that need to be analyzed, and I believe placing this as a referendum, asking that the people support this tax is the best way for us to understand how the public feels about it. Thank you.
So we have a motion by Alderman Hayden, and we have a second by Alderman White. I'm sorry? I'm sorry, correct. You raised your hand, she did. I'll recognize you, you spoke up. We have a second. Alderman White, discussion.
Just a couple of comments, Your Honor. First of all, as has been stated here earlier tonight, the city government really is basically the only level of government that people really can touch and feel. Everything else seems to be kind of abstract. You might be lucky to live next to your congressman or maybe even know who your senator is. And I have had a couple comments on the 0.25% sales tax, which was kind of ironic. I was working out my yard this morning, and two people stopped and asked me about that. And their comment was that basically they don't trust government to do always the best thing in interest for the people. What they said, they used the state of Illinois as an example, which I can understand. Every time you get a tax that is purported to be a temporary tax, it always seems to become permanent. And they thought that having that on the agenda, on the ballot in November, would at least give the citizens a chance to participate in government and express their opinions.
Alderman Schmidt.
I had 5 phone calls about this issue this week. One person is adamantly opposed to any tax, any way, anyhow, doesn't want it on the agenda, and the other 4 are in favor of it. And I've talked to like 3 other people, person to person, had said it. So, you know, most people are in favor of it, and
In favor of the tax or in favor of it putting on the agenda?
They're leaving it as it is right now.
Okay.
That they don't see a reason to change it. And so, if we're going to talk about what the people want, you know, I had one person that.
Okay, but let me, okay, let's,
See what they want.
I'm sorry?
I said, let's see what they want. Let's do
okay,
this
but
non-binding-
Alderman Schneider, go ahead.
Oh, I'm waiting for him. He still has.
No, go ahead. I yielded.
Oh, thank you. My comment on this is, I agree with that it should be put on the ballot. What are we afraid of that the people are going to say? Why would us aldermen, all of us, not want this on the ballot? This is something to let the people voice their opinions. When else have we let them voice their opinions this year? We've got to start letting the people speak. When I ran, one of my campaign things was I would hold town hall meetings because I wanted to know how my constituents felt and what they were thinking. Because if you don't talk to them, you don't know. And what my main thing again is, what are we afraid of putting this on the ballot? Because we have made statements before that we want this money extra, the projected extra amount of sales tax put in a separate account. That has not been done. If we would do stuff like that, maybe we could show the people that we're trying to let them know what's going on. This is the extra amount of sales tax. This is what it was spent on. I think it should be on the ballot and let the people voice their opinion. This is America.
Okay.
I thought they put us on the council to make decisions.
That's a point too. Alderman Kinsella.
Your Honor, when Mr. Hayden said that this was brought in with the idea that we brought this in because we were going to get a COPS grant and pay part of it. The COPS grant would pay part, and we paid the rest. Because we didn't get the COPS grant, we now have to foot the whole bill. So the logic of doing away with this is not very logical because we don't have a COPS grant anymore. Before, what the intent was to add some money along with the COPS grant, perhaps matching funds, and get COPS through that. And now he's suggesting that we might, since we don't get a COPS grant, we might do away with these funds that have been paying for police. You know, I mean, we have extra, we've done a lot of things, well, not a lot, but we've done things in the police department. For instance, community service officers, they release some of the actual police on the street so that from their time of running certain errands and things. And we have hired one police officer and we hired another one in housing, but that's crime-free housing. I don't think this is the time to consider cutting funding that we would need if we did get a COPS grant or if we didn't. But the fact that we didn't hire all 4 that we were originally talking about is due to the fact we didn't get the COPS grant.
Okay, Alderman Schneider, I mean, who's next? Anybody? A couple things I want to clarify. You want to go ahead?
I was just going to say that the COPS grant was we were going to combine this money with the COPS grant and hire 4 cops. We didn't get the money. So there was a motion made the last city council meeting when we were talking about passing the budget by Mr. Hayden to add 2 cops, and that was voted down. So I don't think you can justify this tax's existence to pay for cops when originally it was never intended to do that to begin with, and only when we had this COPS grant out there that we applied for was the justification not to have it sunset. So to me, that's disingenuous.
A couple comments I'd like to make, if I may, and Jamie, believe me, as mayor, I want to hire cops. I mean, heck, you know, which mayor doesn't want to hire cops? But we did this, and some situations and some circumstances have changed. And we have advised you each and every step of the way. First of all, I put on your table today I went to meetings last week in Springfield, and I put on here a couple things I shared with you about bills that are in front of the House and the Senate right now, because it was mentioned earlier by, I think, Mr. White just mentioned about Springfield. And I will tell you, one of the reasons I'm right now, and Jamie and I, during the finance budget process, cautioned that we go slow, is because there's more legislation, or in some cases when it comes to pension reform, lack of legislation that's going to hit the cities in their pocketbook. These bills right now that are here pertaining to manning with the fire department's request, the Illinois Federation of Firefighters in the state, if passed, are going to affect cities. If the Firemen's Association and the unions can start to go to arbitration to tell cities how many people they have to have on the fire department, and we get told that we have to have hypothetically 4 more firemen, right now we'd probably have to cut 4 policemen. They've not done their homework about what this is affecting. We need to be, I spent 2 days up there last week talking to legislators that this is not right. If you read this stuff of some of the pension stuff and some of the bills that are in front of us, these can have a devastating, they're going to bankrupt cities if our state continues to adopt legislation the way they are. Now, what we have said, and Jamie and I were very careful during the budget process, has said, we need another 6 months or so to evaluate where we're going. I stated at the last meeting, I do believe that we'll be in a position to hire another officer through the crime-free housing by the fall. Now, yes, that's paid by crime-free housing, but we also all, I don't know if I should say the word all, but many of us agreed that many of the calls that the police department have to respond to are crimes and calls at apartment complexes where people are making money off these apartments, and they're costing our police department a lot of calls for service. So we enacted that ordinance, and it's, I must say, I think it's going extremely smooth. We're getting results. The police department is working, but understand, even though those couple of officers, one, you know, we got one right now, we're going to hire another, we believe, we feel very strong. They're still commissioned officers. That's more officers on the street. We are at 84 right now, and Chief Clay, is that not the highest number we've ever had? So we do have more officers right now than the city of Belleville has ever had. Correct? Okay. We all want more officers. But the chief came forward, and many of you spoke up a year ago about how deplorable, that's probably a good word, the conditions are in this current police station. Not only are they not pleasant, to say the least, it's not real safe. The ADA issues, it was just a matter of time. It is just a matter of time until we will potentially could be cited. We have to fix and address these. Jamie and I have cautioned the council that we believe we should wait a little bit longer until we can propose to you, and we think it'll be soon. We've been working on a financial proposal of how we can afford, and we did identify a building, and we did approve this council, and the majority of you went with it, the vast majority of you, to approve a new site. But it's going to take some, we're trying to get all the ducks in a row so we see what the money's going to be. Chief Clay made it very, very, very clear during the budget process that his #1 priority right now, more than hiring more manpower at this moment, is to improve the conditions and the facilities at which these men and women work in. They're currently in 4 different buildings. They're outdated. They're distasteful in many cases. And the conditions, the working conditions, some of them look like they're working in closets for offices. We need more improved space, meeting rooms, training rooms, an environment where the chief can have and manage his people in one building. And we did this last council meeting. I believe it was almost unanimous again, that we voted to buy the adjacent property so we could foresee in this project, or shortly thereafter, a new garage. So we can keep police cars out of the weather when they're not running, and we can do those things as well. All we're saying is we need a little time. Now, I don't disagree that it's always great to have public input, but let's also be honest. First of all, this last election was extremely disappointed at the percentage of voter turnout of registered voters. It was around 20, 22%. Some precincts had 9, 10%. And right now, with the attitude across the country of many people, they wouldn't vote for any tax for anything. They wouldn't even listen to the details. It would just be no. We're not going to have a choice, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes soon to making these improvements to be accessible for disabilities. Our police station is antiquated. You have to walk up steps that are extremely not easy for people who have handicaps. You have to walk all the way up the block and around the front to have the handicap ramp, and there's no parking to pull over to get out of the car on Illinois Street or you get run over. All I'm saying is that we need time to gather some more information before we would rush out and put something on the ballot that would try to get the public's, in many cases, knee-jerk reaction, and we do need to think this through. I don't think tonight is the night that we should be rushing a decision to put something on the ballot.
Point of order.
You know, and just a point. Yes, sir.
Point of order. You know, Mayor, I understand what you're saying, but, you know, the point of order here, and this refers back to the city attorney. Your Honor, if you're going to sit up there and be an advocate for a position, you need to, sir, remove yourself from the chair. Okay. You cannot sit up there, Your Honor, in all due respect, and be an advocate on an issue. If you want to play the role, which you're allowed to, as a legislator, then you need to remove yourself from the chair. The chair is supposed to be an unbiased. We got children out here tonight witnessing government, and they need to understand the chair is supposed to run the meeting and be unbiased. And I would ask the city attorney, if he's going to be an advocate, should he not remove himself from the chair?
And Mr. Hayden, I respect your opinion, and there's probably some, maybe I went a little lengthier than I should, but I also told you before, and I think we have a unique situation. I am not just the chair of this meeting, I'm also, the city of Belleville has the strong mayor form of government. We do not have a city manager. The mayor is the day-to-day CEO of the city, and I'm explaining to you what questions have been sent to me about finance and about my finance director and myself and other staff members' concerns that we are rushing in for a reaction.
I respect that.
And I'm just trying to clarify
Point
that.
of order. If you're going to be an
Okay,
advocate,
let's move
you
on.
should remove your.
Are there any other comments? Alderman
yes,
Holt.
I have my hand.
I'm sorry, you still got something else to say?
Yes, sir. I stated at the beginning, Your Honor, it wasn't a question of wanting to rehash the budget debate. We had it last week, but if you're going to bring it back, we'll bring it back. You know, the public needs to know that since 2010, we created a wheel tax because we were short on money from the state. Basically, an aggregate of $600,000. Between the 2 years of the wheel tax, which we then, I'm here partly because of that, and I ran on crime, we collected $700,000 that could have been put in an escrow account or whatever to cover that shortfall. We then turned around, Your Honor, and created a sales tax to replace the wheel tax, with the public believing in many cases, Your Honor, that we got a $600,000 shortfall every year. That is not true. But there's public misconception out there of what is going on. It's not every year. And in those 3 years, we have taken in, your words, $1.2 million. Now, if I have pointed out before, over the last 5 years, we've taken in $4.7 million. Now, the point of the matter is the public has made it clear. They made it clear during the mayor's race, Your Honor, and you know that. This lady here from the B&D, when she started out wanting to do 100 doors, but the time consuming, and we all know how hard it is to knock on doors, but she went to 100 doors and ended up with 50 in all 8 wards, and the number one issue was crime. Now, I supported the new police station at that location, but I have made it very clear to you, Your Honor, how we pay for it is still open to debate. Now, I'm not going to sit here and debate with you or the police chief on issues other than I do know that it has been stated before by our chief and by you and everybody that if we're going to deter crime, we need at a minimum to add 10 police officers to make an effective patrol on the street to where the word gets out you don't want to come to Belleville because they got the police officers out there and they're going to arrest you if you get a crime. And that, Your Honor, gets back to if you want to talk about economic development and viability in the city, we as a city council, and this gentleman over, if he's still here, spoke earlier, we cannot sit here and with blinders on and continue to allow people to move out. There's vacant houses all over around my house and the ward. And at the same time, the people are concerned. And that perception is also affecting the city. And as I pointed out earlier, you're talking about the attitude of the public, and you mentioned last meeting that they wouldn't support 2 nickels. Well, again, maybe that's because of the frustration, Your Honor, at the local level that they don't see their representative representing them on their needs. And again, it's not just a quarter on $100. It's the aggregate effect of our total sales tax when people start seeing that they're spending $10 to $11 in sales tax to where it can only be on $100 versus $6.75. That is something, Your Honor, that needs to be looked at, and this referendum will allow that. And lastly, Your Honor, I understand we're going to get hit with, we could get hit with a multitude of different expenses, but we have made, you know, the crime-free housing, that's a rent tax. That's a rent tax, and it's basically the landlords or the renters that is passed on is paying for that. And that, in some ways, that's an inadequate way to put police on the street, because now we're pitting landlords and renters versus homeowners, and I don't think in the long run, Your Honor, that's a very wise thing to do. But the public needs to know we have brought our reserves up since 2010 from 1.2 million to 3.5 million, and there is no doubt in my mind if we prioritize that we could have added more cops. And one last thing, Your Honor, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, but please don't tell me, because I can't believe you're serious, that if we have to cut staff, any staff for any reason, that the first place we're going to cut is police, because I can tell you this alderman will not support that.
Alderman Schmidt.
I'm
sorry,
sometimes
okay, she had
confused.
Go ahead.
What Belleville Mr. Hayden lives in. I live in Ward 2, and the area I personally live in has been a crime area. And I've had so many people coming up to me in the past 6 months telling me how much better they feel about it. Lieutenant Eiskamp has done this magnificent job, and I think our current police department is managing the assets better. We have wonderful assets in our police department that are doing a good job. And there are people, we still have crime, but people have said they feel safer. And I mean, for the area around like St. Paul's and Maxwell's and all that, for people to say that, I find it amazing, but I feel safer. Okay, and I think we're doing a good job, but I think we do, and we're not passing the buck to let people vote on it. That's the job they elected us to do, to make these decisions. We have city elections every 2 years anyway. We don't need to have another unnecessary election that will cost money and people have to get issues out when we have other state and regional ballots coming up this fall. So I think, you know, we should do our job.
Alderman Holt, you're next.
The ability to levy taxes is a very serious burden, and I give my colleagues credit for thinking things out. And I appreciate the remarks made by both my colleagues and the public about we need to do our job, we need to make the decisions. I think the frustration comes from the public that we keep making promises that we have not kept. Over and over, we have told them, if we raise your taxes, if we do this, if we do that, then we will hire more policemen. But there's always an excuse, always another reason, whether it's good or not, that's people's opinion. But it hasn't happened. We have not increased the size of our police department. If we were a business, we'd be accused of bait and switch. And I believe that is what the alderman is trying to prove by this referendum. We are basically saying to the public, is it okay if we do something different with this money than what we told you we were gonna do with it? Because we told you we were gonna hire 4 cops. Now, we're not gonna hire any. Is it okay if we use it to fix the police station or whatever else new project comes up? But the fact of the matter is, we raise taxes and we need to keep our word.
Okay, who else? Jamie, do you care to, do you have anything you want to clarify? It's up to you. I just think that, you know, we just went through months of the budget process, and really and truthfully during the budget process, I'm sorry, Alderman Randall?
Thank you, Mayor. I've been listening very intently to the debate, you know, between all the parties involved here, and it's obvious that we've got some very difficult decisions that we need to make as a city council. I also believe that it's important that we allow the public to have input in terms of some of the things that we do as a council, whether it be raising taxes or putting money to use in one fashion or another. The tax revenue has been said to be flat or down, and the question that's on my mind is what's going on in the face of an actual growing economy at this point in time that we should be experiencing a flat or a decreasing tax revenue. It makes me wonder if the people are really voting with their feet by shopping elsewhere, or maybe being more prudent with their money and not spending as much as what they had before. The one thing that I do agree with Alderman Schmidt about is that whether or not this goes on the ballot, ultimately, we all know that the real referendum will be the election that folks will be running for office on. That's, I think, where the real referendum comes down to, whether or not people are willing to support the continued behavior of the council as it continues to conduct its business, or if it decides that it needs a change of direction. That's, to me, the ultimate referendum that will be on the ballot.
And I don't disagree with you. Jamie, I asked Jamie to stand up here because we went through a lengthy budget process, and really, these conversations didn't happen at any of the finance meetings. Virtually none, until after the night the budget was passed. Jamie, would you want to just freshen up some of your concerns that you shared?
Yeah, I think all of you have read the memo. It speaks for itself. Our fiscal year ended last week. It ended pretty much right on with what we had projected. Many revenues were down, not just sales tax, there were several other taxes. I'm not opposed to hiring police officers. I trust Chief Clay when he tells me what his priority is when we meet and go over the budget for 4 or 5 months. The majority of the council has said we need a new police station. We're working on getting a financial package together of what that might look like. And the top priority is to not add any extra taxes to pay for that. I can't do that if we keep adding more and more and more expenses before we know what those final figures are going to be. The budget's been out since February. Not one person came to me with why aren't there more cops. I have this list of ideas for ways we can cut this budget to add cops. Nobody has proposed any cuts that would pay for them. It was only let's add cops, let's add cops. The budget is balanced to $5,000. So you can't just add a cop, you have to cut something in return. and any new expenditures has been approved by this council. So all I ask is if you want to add cops, please make recommendations for cuts that the whole council can discuss and vote on as well.
Yes, ma'am.
For years, we have been asking for a different budget process so that priorities were set by council before the numbers were looked at.
Mrs. Holt, in all due respect, Jamie has had many budget meetings, January, February, March, even April. And many people did not come or didn't share anything with Jamie, never came to my office, never had there was a few questions. Alderman Randall had some questions that she shared with me, and basically points of clarification because he's relatively new. But there was no ideals brought forward of cutting or anything else. Now, we're not, as I said, going to have aldermen sit down with each department head and go through their budget line by line. We have professional staff and a professional finance director with a CPA and an MBA who's very qualified and has done a great job. But you have been invited to numerous committee meetings and no one went through this with any questions we just stayed there as long as we had to.
Didn't you reference a meeting last August?
Okay, I'm just saying, we just went through the budget process and I'm telling you the truth. Jamie, am I correct? Alderman Hayden.
Yes, Your Honor. Again, I appreciate the finance director's questions. We did get the budget items in February. And for those ladies and gentlemen out there in the public list, and those that watch this now on the live stream and hopefully down the road cable TV. I got the items in February, Your Honor. I went through the items. I looked at the items. I gave them to other people to look at the items. And then I sent you back in March 20th my #1 concern and request. Now, I'm not going to get into the debate, but Ms. Holt is bringing up the fact that, and I've campaigned on it, and I'm going to continue to campaign on it, that I think it is very prudent that we have budget workshops and sit down and seriously talk about it. It's not a question of going down through line by line, but once again, we hear, and I respect that our department heads are indeed, Your Honor, are experts, and we should listen to them. You are the mayor. But is there anybody out there in that audience that believes that when the president and his secretaries give a budget to the Congress, that the Congress just says, okay, we got the president's and the secretary's, cabinet members' budget, they're the experts, boom, we're going to pass that. No, sir, Your Honor. They go through deliberation and deliberation. Now, I'm not asking for the same deliberation, Your Honor, as Congress, but there is no reason that we cannot sit down and go through these items and start having dialogue of what the needs and concerns are. And on March 20th, I asked and started that dialogue of what the need is. And you and your staff did not respond to me until I got the council or finance packet last month. That's a fact.
Alderman White.
That's a fact.
Just one thing, Your Honor. I agree that we can't at this point change our budget. I'll give you that. But let's get back on the motion at hand. The motion at hand is merely an advisory referendum trying to seek what the people will think. And I think that's still important in this country. I think we ought to do that. I know you say that we get paid all the time money to be up here and make these decisions, and I agree with that to some point. But there are certain things, like adding a sales tax, starting it for 2 years, and then when it comes out of committee, we wanted to make it permanent right away, and then we settled for 4 years. I think there's just certain things that the citizens have a right to comment on. Thank you.
Okay. Alderman Schneider.
What are we afraid of putting this on there? Are we afraid of what the public is going to say? That is the big question. Right? I mean, with the wheel tax and all this, there was so much talk about it. And this was only supposed to be 2 years. Well, now it's longer. And it will never be ended. Let the people make the decision. Yes, we're elected here to make hard decisions. And if you wanna start talking about the police department with their new building and all that, I didn't, but most of the council made the agreement before the study was ever in. So you just knew right then and there, which is
But-
we're gonna do and where it was gonna be.
Alderman-
Because no, I have the floor. The study was not even in. And then we buy the extra, no, the study was not in when we approved of buying the Bank of Belleville building.
We had a gentleman come here and give us a verbal update.
A
on where
verbal.
we're at.
It's gonna be just like the next topic we're gonna be talking about where we have verbal agreements and that. And then we buy the extra ground to build the garage. When money is tight, you don't go the whole hog. We could have kept using the bays and the stuff at the Parks building. That was the old Jack Schmidt Chevy building. Why did we not use that and instead of spending money to buy another building? We don't need to do it all at once. If that would have sold, it would have sold. But it hadn't for how many years? We did not need to buy that extra spot. We don't need a five-star hotel for the criminals.
Alderman Kinsella first.
Your Honor, before I came on this council, for years, I had questions that rose in my mind about what does somebody who represents the people do? And I was thinking on the national level. Let's say I'm a representative, for instance. And on the surface, a bill looks like my constituents would really like it. But through the knowledge that I have, I realize it's not the best thing for them. How does somebody respond? Do you vote what you think would look good to the public? Or do you vote with the knowledge base that you have? And I've been on both sides of that issue in my mind over the years. It's not that our citizens aren't responsible or anything like that. It's that it's very hard to explain through the newspaper or other ways the actual facts that are facing us. And the people in my ward, they don't want to sit and look over the budget. They want me to do that. That's actually what I was appointed for. And to be honest, I am going to say that if this thing goes on the ballot, the majority of people aren't going to bother to call and say, Ken, would you explain what's this and what's that? The majority of people are tired of paying taxes and they're going to vote it down. So yes, I will come out and say that I'm afraid that if it went on the ballot, it would be voted down, okay? And I've already mentioned that if it is voted down, how are we going to hire more police, okay? I've already brought that up. But my point is that sometimes the elected official has insights that he can't explain to all his constituents, okay? So in this particular case, I'm going to go with what I think is right. I'm not going to rely on a vote because I think the vote will be, who wouldn't vote to do away with taxes? And they have to also understand that a quarter-cent sales tax impacts us much less than other taxes.
Alderman Schmidt.
I agree with Alderman Kinsella. I mean, I
You
guess.
use the microphone, okay, ma'am?
Sorry, thank you. Roughly 8,000 people in the ward, give or take. 8 people made the effort to call or contact me, not counting, a few people outside of my ward and my husband. I mean, that's the only ones that cared. This has been in the paper. And I think they have ample opportunity to let us know how they feel, and some do. I had more people calling about the potholes and wanting to know if the city's going to fix their street, and we need money to do that, than called about this. And so I don't think we're afraid of it, but I think, yeah, he's right. We are afraid they're gonna make the wrong decision, say no taxes, and then we don't have money to operate the city. People like Belleville. Belleville's on the upswing. We've had this beautiful parade, and you talk to people downtown, and people are excited, and Midtown is starting to develop. And we can't, to quote ex-mayor Bloomberg of New York City, if you want stuff, you have to have money to pay for it. And people don't mind paying a few cents, 25 cents on $100, because it gives us stuff and gives us money to work with.
Well, and let me clarify one thing, if I may. Just so everybody knows, it was clarified at the time of the tax. That 1/4% sales tax did not go on automobiles, it did not go on prescription drugs, and it did not go on groceries.
Right.
So it's just so everybody knows that, understands that. And all I'm saying from the administration point of view is I think it's too soon. We need some more facts to come in, facts on how much is this police station that we voted on, and I think the vast majority of us agreed on, needs to be fixed. What are the total costs and how are we gonna finance it? I think we need that figure and those facts before we can turn around and make a lot more decisions. But it's just a statement. Alderman Schneider.
How many years do we need? We're going to be on our 4th year, because that was one of the topics that I ran on, was the wheel tax.
Well,
And we got it gone. Well, then we came up with this 1/4% sales tax. Sunset clause, 2 years. This was just to get us through the rough patch. But now it seems like it's on and on and on. If we wouldn't be spending money that isn't necessary, yeah, I have people that want their roads fixed.
I agree.
We're not gonna oil and chip one road this year. We have not done it in how many years? But yet we've got money to buy this brand new police station when we could have maybe scaled back a little bit. We could have scaled back on where the garage is gonna be. We're just going the whole fancy way. And people don't want that, because there are people struggling right now. Are they going to be able to pay their electric bill, their water bill, their sewer bill? And they don't have it all that fancy. The criminals are gonna have it better than we got it. And you talk about crime-free housing. The officer we hired, that officer isn't out on the street in a patrol car. He doesn't work weekends, he doesn't work 24 hours. His shift is, what, 8 to 4, 8 to 5? We need officers on the street, because believe me, my area has had enough crime this past few weeks.
Okay, Alderman Randall.
Yeah, Mayor, with all due respect, I don't think there's going to be a lot of movement in terms of changing minds here this evening. If we could, I'd like to move that we go ahead and vote on the motion as presented by Alderman Steve.
Okay. We have a motion to, and Mr. Harner, does this have to come back in the resolution form? This is a motion or?
Yes,
My motion was by resolution.
we're gonna have to bring back an ordinance if this is approved, because it's gotta delineate, it's gotta certify the question to the election authority.
That's fine.
Yep.
Okay. So, we have a motion, just to put that this would be on the November referendum, right? Mr. Hayden?
Correct. I've stated the wording of the question.
Okay. A yes vote.
Anybody needs me to restate it, I'll be more than glad.
A yes vote will agree to put this on in November, but it's not as a binding. You're saying it's a advisory referendum.
That's correct.
Okay. We have a motion and we have a second. Roll call.
Heisler.
No.
Kinsella.
No.
Holt.
Aye.
Schmidt.
No.
Ridgewitz.
No.
Randall.
Aye.
Anthony.
No.
Davidson.
No.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
No.
White.
Aye.
Galletti.
Aye.
Musgrove.
No.
Orlett.
Aye.
Schneider.
8 to 7? 8 to 7, the motion fails. Okay, we move on to miscellaneous and new business. Any,
Ask for any other unfinished business.
is there any other,
Oh,
is there
yes.
any other unfinished
I
business?
had a question about the TIF-10 report. I thought you were gonna bring it to us today.
I was working with the administration late last week, trying to get information from a conversation that we had with the developer pertaining to the timing of the payments and interest. So I haven't gotten that information yet. And I did advise Alderman Hayden by email of that, because he had originally raised the question. So as soon as I get it, I think that, well, hopefully any day, based on the messages that were left last week.
Okay, another issue.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the police and fire meeting this month, and the police department had no business, and then I was very surprised to read in the newspaper that we have a new substation, and I kind of wanted to hear some details about that.
Well, I think if Chief Clay wants to come forward, it's not quite what it was made out to be. Chief, you want to explain the partnership with St. Clair County? We're not manning this, we're not paying anything for this. It's a partnership with the county, right? They're talking about the Stonehenge. The Stonehenge partnership with the Stonehenge offering a spot for the officers to stop.
We're not paying, let me get over here. We're not paying anything. It's strictly, they volunteered to do that. It is like any kind of substation that you would have, be it a convenience store or any place else. They just offer up. Target has a location with a room, and they have a computer and phone that they offer up as well. You know, so they do that at several different locations. And then what happens is the county and or the police, if they want to go there for personal services or they want to eat or something like that, and they go to these places. But
We're not manning this.
There's nothing.
We're not
no
spending
manning.
any dollars.
No.
There was no decisions to make.
As a matter of fact, that was one of my caveats. I said, make sure you understand this is not something that we are going to man or there's no hours or anything like that. If the officers are on patrol and they wish to go in there for personal reasons or use the restroom or whatever, or those kind of things, they can do that. But that's the extent of how we use those things.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, Alderman Hayden.
Let her finish.
Okay.
I also wanted to get a follow-up about the sculpture in the park that was damaged. I thought it was gonna be put back. What's the story on that?
What's the update, guys? Any word?
Okay, the sculpture at Bicentennial Park, it went back to the artist. I shipped it back. I said, do you want me to send the whole thing back or just the parts that are damaged? He said, just send back the parts that are damaged. I called 3 or 4 times. I was in contact with him, and what he stated was he's going to have to make a few minor adjustments to it so it doesn't happen again. I said, well, I agree. I definitely do not want it to happen again. Never heard back from him. We just received it on Friday. We opened it up. The maintenance guys installed it, and that was his minor changes as it is right now. So in contact with the Art on the Square committee and with the sculpture to figure out what is actually taking place here. So that's about all I know right now is what I stated. So okay.
Have we been billed for anything?
No, he did not bill us for anything. He was going to cover everything because it's, you know, it was part of his.
I mean,
package.
obviously, I'm sure you've seen, Jay, the top is extremely, well, I don't know, extremely, but definitely different.
To me, that's not a minor change, but it's a major change. But like I said, stated, that's the only thing I know.
But
yeah,
you're,
exactly.
You're working on that. So.
Yeah, we talked about, should we take it back down or should we leave it up? We didn't really know what to do, so we put it up. We thought, well, we're going to leave it up, and we're going to try to determine what's
Did he say he'd
what's
be here
happened
during
here.
Arden Square?
He is, yes, and
Okay.
we're supposed
So
to have
maybe
a
we can get him
conversation
out
with
there and have that discussion with him.
Yeah, and yeah. So
Yeah, it was.
I was shocked, honestly, when we looked at it and went, that's it. So yeah, didn't really know what to do other than looked at it and went, I don't know what to do. So.
It was pretty obvious.
Obvious to me, yes. I'm not an artist, so maybe to an artist that's a minor change. I don't really know. So okay.
Alderman Schmidt?
I just have a question. A few weeks ago, a car went into the fountain, and I was wondering what the level of damages were. And
We were lucky. Kenny, you still here? It was minimal damage. They knocked off a couple jets. We got the part ordered. The fountain was actually, the maintenance staff did a great job. They had it back up and running by Sunday evening. It was really, they hit the concrete and they went airborne and went right down. Tom Poor was there. We were fortunate there wasn't a lot more damage. Just happened to miss, you know, all the other flag poles and lights and everything. But it was minimal damage, and we're working to get restitution from the insurance. Hopefully, I think, hopefully they had some insurance. They were investigating all that. And but it is back up and running, and they got the parts, so the fountain should be in full condition by this next week. So, yes, ma'am.
Yes. I met with the attorney and Eric last Thursday. because I was still upset with the way the sales tax abatement was brought on and the speech he went on for about 20, 25 minutes. It was said when we give sales tax abatement, there is no way that we can recoup what they got. And it was said that the city fulfilled their obligation. But there's the business's obligation, whether it's sales tax abatement, $800,000 for attorney's fees, probate on their real estate taxes in advance, or whatever, no matter what their contract says, then the businesses have obligations. And I have been asking to see proof of these, and no one has proof. Even at the meeting on Thursday, there was no proof that they have checked on these things. The businesses, some of their obligations is, and now this is public money, so we have a right to see it, their amount of sales, their amount of employees. Are they going to stay in business for so many years? And I didn't bring all the contracts, but we need to start seeing this. And if a business goes out of business before the time is, one of the large ones is business A, that if it's sold and the person that buys it, they have the right to take over the contract. Well, if they don't take over the contract, then they're in violation of their contract. Another thing is, we should be checking up on these contracts periodically. I mean, because these businesses sign these agreements, and that's what it's supposed to be. So I have asked, I want to see where these contracts have been checked up on. And then if you have a business that does go out and another one takes it over, who has the right to say, okay, we're going to just accept it by word of mouth that you're going to assume the contract? That should be brought before council, that not one business can go out and another business buy it and take it, change the name with a sign, and their 25 years are not up yet, so they are still obligated to the contract. Who is going to fulfill the contract? The attorney said he had.
Just briefly, from that meeting, we came up with what we consider to be a solution that to satisfy concerns was developing a uniform certification document for submission through a process that the administration will determine to have them on a periodic basis, recipients of incentives, just certify that the conditions of the contract are being met, whether it be say a certain amount of threshold sales or number of employees or both, you know, some way that similar to what the state has done to require a certification with the signature, and then there would be whatever additional information you wanted to be on the form, but it would be a certification under oath that certain threshold amounts were being satisfied. And so that's being developed by the administration.
And then do we have to go into executive session to talk about the one I suggested that they owe us so much money in?
If you're going to talk about a specific perceived debt, I would recommend that if it's going to be imminent or probable litigation, that it be discussed in executive session.
Oh, so there's two of them three of them. So when we go into executive session, we can talk about it, and the council can vote if we're going to take action because of the fulfillment of their obligations.
We can't vote tonight.
No, but we can then come out and if we're going to take legal action or not.
Okay.
We can discuss it.
Yes,
Alderman
that's what I
Hayden is
said.
next.
Thanks, Your Honor. Once again, Your Honor, first, certainly want to thank the Scouts and the troops for presenting the flag and the colors and doing the Pledge of Allegiance. I think they need to talk to their Scout masters and maybe see if they can garner another badge, because I certainly respect them for hanging in there with us. I'm hoping that this is a learning process for them. Back to TIF 10. The city attorney did send me a update. I appreciate the updates, Mr. Horner. You're trying to track down evidence and information that I and other people out in the audience have spent 3 years on. So the fact that you haven't got it in the first month or two is not necessarily surprising to me. So I appreciate your diligence on that matter. I do want to go back to a situation, Your Honor, that was brought up during public portion. We're on 2 years of you and your administration's inaction to correct an ADA, which is federal law violation on East Washington Street. 2 years.
Mr. Harner has, we listened to the engineering, took a long time, and it's been pushed around. He is in touch. He's corresponded with, or I don't know if he's corresponded with, but verbally communicated with, and they know that we need to correct this.
IDOT is holding money from us. Is that not correct?
Jamie,
I believe that needs to be looked into, Mayor, if you're not aware of, because
I don't believe that's I don't believe it's.
Tim is there, he would know.
Tim, is IDOT holding money from us because the East Washington sidewalk is not ADA compliant?
Yes.
There we go.
How much, Tim?
It's about $15,000.
Okay.
So there's public money that's not been garnered back over this situation for 2 years. The last question I got, Your Honors, for tonight, what is the deal? I got residents calling me on the electric aggregation. My understanding was that once you agreed to it, you know, that you would always every year get a thing to opt out. But if you opt out initially, you wouldn't get nothing. But now I'm getting phone calls from constituents saying that they're getting the same stuff and that they're being put back in, and they got to opt out every year. And I didn't think that's the way it worked.
No. Jamie?
It's not opt out every year, it's opt out every end of contract. So the last contract, that first initial one is about to end. We're entering into a new contract, so they have the option to opt out again.
Okay. Did we? I don't recall, but did we place something like that in our newsletter, or can we?
Yes.
It's on the website.
It was on the website.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've had a couple lengthy articles explaining it in the last 2 months.
All right. Thank you.
Alderman Schneider.
Yes, I have a question on that. So if they don't want the Ameren, they have to opt out. If we're automatically in there, we don't stay in with the cheaper electric, because I told my constituents when I was getting calls, I threw the opt-out stuff away because I was already receiving the cheaper electric.
Yeah, the rate that you're at right now is going to end this summer.
So we would have had to opt out of Ameren? Because we didn't fill anything out the last time to opt out.
You're opting out of the alternative supplier other than Ameren. So if you want to participate at that cheaper rate that they're offering, you don't have to do anything.
Well, that's what I was.
If you don't, and you want to stay with Ameren, send them that opt-out letter.
Okay, because that's what I told them. As long as they were getting the cheaper electric right now, they didn't have to do anything. They would keep getting it.
That's correct.
Unless they want to go back to Ameren.
Right.
Keep in mind, the rate is gonna go up from what you're getting now. That contract was, I believe, about 18 months. Electric rates went up before we bid on that again. Rate's still much cheaper than Ameren, but higher than it was that first term. You have to compare based on that new rate.
So as long as they're getting the cheaper rates, they don't have to do anything.
Yes, ma'am?
How long has it been since we did large item pickup, and do we have any plans to do it?
Well, you can purchase it on throughout the month. We haven't done one the last couple of years, trying to watch the budget. It has a price tag, what, Jamie and Chuck, probably, what, 40,000? Is it that much? It's about $40,000 for landfill tipping and extra overtime. I really wanted to do one this year, but when we were as far apart on settling the general fund as we were, and what we had to all do and what we all had to cut to get it to where it was, I didn't present it, and nobody brought it up at the time. I would love to have done it. this year being the 200th, but maybe next year we can try to squeeze it back in, but it has a price tag.
Okay, well, and that's the first time I had heard the number, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move to miscellaneous and new business. I'd ask for a motion to pay the motor fuel claims in the amount of $8,744.02. Motion by Alderman Seibert, second by Alderman Hayden. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Holt. Schmidt.
Aye.
Ridgewitz. Randall. Anthony. Davidson. Hayden. Seibert. White. Galletti. Musgrove. Orlett. Schneider.
Aye.
Motion carries. I'd ask for a motion to approve the library board's recommendation of disposal of surplus furniture and equipment by the Belleville Public Library.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Schmidt, second by Alderman Hayden. Any discussion?
How do they do this? Be yard sale, eBay?
Leander, Director of the Library, will explain.
The material that was deemed unnecessary for the library going forward was first offered to other city departments, some of which have claimed some material. I then contacted the Belleville Historical Society to see if they wanted some of it. They have taken quite a bit. I will contact the Labor and Industry Museum this week to see if they want anything. After that, it will go up for a public auction.
But now let me just note, department heads, if you are asking for some, I'd like to know what you're requesting, so I'm kind of aware of what's going on. And two, if you request it, this is not for personal use. As Garrett reminded me, that could be criminal. It must be for your department's use. And so we must make sure we follow those rules, okay?
How will the auction work?
I have contracted with an auction company. They will list the items online via their website. Bids will be electronically. They will handle the payment, pickup, and they will cut us a check at the end of the process.
Thank you.
So once we have this vote tonight, given the authority to move forward, I'll talk with Leander. Garrett and I will look at the list with him to make sure that we don't feel like there's any violations of anything, and we will move forward from there. So we have a motion and we have a second to approve of disposal of this surplus furniture due to the library improvements that are being done. I'd ask for a roll call vote.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Holt. Schmidt.
Aye.
Ridgewitz. Randall. Anthony. Davidson. Hayden. Seibert. White. Galletti. Musgrove. Orlett. Schneider.
Aye.
Hey, motion carries. Gotta get that fixed. This time I'd ask for a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel, litigation, and property acquisition.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Schmidt, second by Kinsella. Any discussion? All in favor of going into executive session for those stated reasons signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will take about a... Ready? Okay. We are now back in open session, and we have one motion left on the agenda. I'd ask for a motion to approve a workman's compensation settlement for the amount of $20,319.00.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Schmidt, second by Alderman Seibert. Do I hear any discussion? Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Holt. Schmidt.
Aye.
Ridgewitz. Randall. Anthony. Davidson. Hayden. Seibert. White. Galletti. Musgrove. Orlett. Schneider.
Aye.
Motion carries. Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn. Motion by Alderman Hayden, second by Alderman Schmidt. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.